Hi guys, the date is March 13th, 2026, and this is a video I've been wanting to make for a good while. It's about the values that I personally like to display and kind of rely on, and these values are awareness, acceptance, and presence. So kind of what I'll go over the kind of true meaning of what I'm talking about when I talk about these values. Then I'll go over some real world examples of different things, and then I'll do some kind of debunks and some like misconceptions about some of this stuff. And yeah. So the first value is awareness, and that's just seeing things clearly. What's true right now, that's internally and externally, without adding anything extra onto it. It's about reality, and it's about emotions and feelings. And then kind of on the other side of awareness, there's ignorance, avoidance, denial, and some people call it tunnel vision. And that's so I'll go over what it means and kind of what's on the other side of it. Then there's acceptance, which is stopping the fight with what's already true. It's not like I like it or I approve or I won't change it. This is just reality of this moment. It's just, this is where I'm at. This is how it is. And the kind of on the other side of acceptance, it's like resistance, bargaining, trying to control like your perception and like ruminating on stuff instead of accepting it. Then the third value, which the others kind of lead into, is presence, which is the attention to living here in the moment on purpose, which is, it's kind of where life is actually experienced and not just enjoyed. Like, that's why I use the word experience. It's not just about enjoying life. It's about taking action in the present moment and kind of, obviously you do need to be present to enjoy something, but you can't just expect enjoyment to come from being present. That's what I'm trying to say. And the on the other side is distraction and dissociation, kind of living on autopilot and either focusing on the past or the future. And I think especially the autopilot one, with where we have an ability to numb our brains out at any time of the day, it's a very easy one to fall into. Okay, so these are all separate values and separate concepts, but what kind of holds them together, which this is good to remember. This is a good thing to maybe write down or keep in your mind. Awareness tells you what is. Acceptance removes the friction with what is, and presence lets you inhabit what is. So awareness, it lets you know what is. You don't have delusion, you don't have an assumption. It's just what is. I mean, your life will always be a perception of how you see it, but awareness clears up that perception and removes more of the kind of extra stuff to let you see reality and how things actually are a bit more clear. And then acceptance removes the friction with what is. Like, as I said before, trying to control it or ruminate on it. That's not good. And you don't want to ruminate on things you're aware of. You don't want to ruminate on them, because that's just wasting time when you could just accept it and then move into the third value, which is presence. And presence can mean taking action on it. It can mean just, doing what you want to do in the present moment. All right. So the next kind of analogy is the three-legged stool. You can kind of fake two of them, but the stool would get unstable fast. Awareness without acceptance is just tension. And I think a lot of us would be familiar with that tension. And then acceptance without awareness is just blind comfort. It's kind of living in a bubble. And I think most of us have seen examples of this. And then presence without the other two just is like you're just drifting and you're kind of impulsive and you're just in the moment, but there's no kind of growth. And then when you have all three, you can actually live your life without lying to yourself or fighting reality, just living your life. And I think this is kind of what this is about. So I want to give a real life example of these values, and I just thought of eating ice cream. So you're eating ice cream. The awareness is, this is delicious, it has calories, and I have goals. If I do this often, it affects my body. Just that's the awareness. Nothing add on to it. That's just fact. That's just how it is. Then it goes into acceptance. That's true. No need to feel bad or argue with it. This is just a trade-off. Seeing things as a trade-off is such a good way to go about stuff, and I kind of think it deserves a video of its own. But yeah, and then it leads into presence. Cool. Since I'm not fighting with reality, I can actually just enjoy this moment. I can just taste this moment. You know, it's presence isn't pretending the trade-off doesn't exist. Presence is what happens when you stop living in your mind with the consequences and just start fully experiencing the present from your choice. You know, you made the choice to eat it. So if you keep ruminating on all the calories, you're not going to be able to enjoy this moment. You're going to be in your head. You're not going to be able, it's not about enjoyment. It's about being in the moment. And that will stop you. Okay. Now, the next bit is on, so we've obviously seen all these values in other people and in ourselves and throughout life, but this is a good way to identify if we're like missing one of them and have the other two, or maybe someone else is missing one of them and have the other two. So the first one is when someone has awareness and acceptance without presence. And this is still on the kind of, I'll add in a sentence, kind of like some describing words of what this looks like, and then I'll add in the ice cream situation. So awareness and acceptance without presence. I understand my life, but I'm not living it. It's kind of, it feels kind of detached, flat, numb, and some people call it like spectator mode, like you're seeing your life happen, but you're not actually living it. And commonly it is referred to as intellectualization. I definitely didn't spell that right. Turning an experience into the idea of an experience. It's very out there. And then it's like with the ice cream example, yes, calories exist. Yes, it's fine, but I'm not actually enjoying it or in the moment. And yeah, that's kind of self-explanatory, you know? But I feel like that's a rarer one to have, but it's still, you do see it sometimes. And then the next one is having acceptance and presence, but without the awareness. This feels good, so it must be fine. Kind of like carefree and uninformed, commonly known as comfortable ignorance or Some people call it a bliss bubble. And in the ice cream example, it's you're fully enjoying it, but you're not seeing the patterns or the trade-off or like the long-term reality. And sometimes acceptance and presence can lead to awareness. Like you may be eating this ice cream for the first time and you're not aware of the kind of calorie trade-off, but then you start to put on some weight after a few ice creams, and now you will become aware. That's why it kind of leads back to the saying of, a smart man learns from his mistakes and a wise man learns from other mistakes, or man or woman. And that kind of leads back into that. Okay. And then the last combo is having awareness and presence without acceptance, which is actually pretty common. And I went through this as well. Well, I think it's common, probably because I went through it. I'm here and I hate what I'm seeing. It's kind of tense, self-judging, and restless. And when you don't have the acceptance, is a very, very into when your mind is ruminating on stuff and that voice in your head is telling you, stuff like that. And it's kind of commonly known as like resistance, because you're resisting the acceptance of reality and just like white knuckling reality, just going through it. And in the ice cream example, it's you taste every bite and every guilty thought because nothing is allowed to be okay. And a big thing is this kind of takes the enjoyment out of presently eating it, and without the acceptance, when you're in your head about it, as I was saying, acceptance kind of lets the presence run smoothly. So this can obviously really affect the present as well. And then these are some more extreme examples, but they are there, and that's when they're missing two or more. So just having one of them. With awareness, it's kind of hypervigilance, anxiety, and analysis paralysis, which we've all dealt with or at least I have, in small doses. And then acceptance is kind of resignation and passivity. You just accept everything, but there's no presence for no action, and there's no awareness for no growth. And yeah, just passivity. And then presence, which is kind of like impulsivity, or I guess you could refer to it to like hedonism, where you're just trying to get the next dopamine hit to the other and like just drifting. And with all three, there's kind of a loop it's not really like a strict order. Like I have to go through awareness, acceptance, and presence. It's more of just a reinforcing cycle that helps each other. Awareness is what's happening. Acceptance is, can I stop fighting that it's happening? And then presence is, now that I'm not fighting, can I actually be here? Presence, this is a little thing I went through. Presence deepens awareness. And when you deepen that awareness, you accept more honestly. And when you accept more honestly, presence becomes easier. And it just goes in that cycle. So sometimes you can just start with presence. You can start with any one of these values and lead into the other. Okay. Now, I know sometimes the way I talk about stuff, it's not always the easiest to kind of take in. So this is like the easiest to take in example I could come up with. You're in a dark room, you have a flashlight, and awareness is the brightness of the flashlight, what you can actually see. Acceptance is the willingness to look at what the light's revealing. And then presence is keeping the flashlight there instead of, swinging it into, looking at the past or the future, where you've been or where you're going. It's just what's right in front of you. And that's kind of the simplest way I can put it. Yeah. And then next up, I've got the desire to be seen videos next, because I actually made that video after I planned this one out, because I've been planning this for a while and I've been waiting for the right kind of moment to kind of film it. But it's raining today and I was like planning to film it today. I was planning to go to the beach with a nice backdrop, but I was just like, I have to film this. This is just like, it's just something that I've wanted to make for a while. And then these are a few misconceptions and like debunks when it comes to awareness, acceptance, and presence. So the first one, and one that's very common, is that presence is passive and presence is the opposite of action. Which, a good way to look at this is with scrolling in that. With scrolling, we can put ourselves on autopilot and not think about anything, which kind of is nice because it kind of numbs our brain, but presence is the opposite of that. It's the opposite of autopilot, not the opposite of action. Presence doesn't stop action. It it upgrades it. It moves it. It makes it better, and it lets it flow better. Because action without presence is reactive and like a habit. Like when you go and you just go into the fridge and start eating, the same ice cream you eat every night. It's just a habit. It's not bad or good. It's just, and you're not present. You think you're present, but like when you open your phone and you automatically just go onto TikTok or Instagram, it's impulsive. And presence is the opposite. And like action without presence is like coping and proving and escaping. Action with presence is intentional. It's clear, it's calm, and it's accurate. A simple line to remember that can kind of remind you of this: presence doesn't mean do nothing. It means do what you do on purpose. And yeah, if anything, presence makes action clearer and easier and cleaner. You waste less energy fighting your mind on stuff, and your choices just come from reality instead of anything that's going on like in your life that's triggering you to do something. The misconception 2, which is just a massive one, like even I focus on a lot of self-improvement stuff, and I watch a lot of videos and read a lot of books, or I used to do it like a lot. And even some of the best people that I've watched and read have this misconception that I'm about to debunk. Acceptance means approval. Acceptance is not saying this is good. It's saying this is real. You can accept, I feel jealous, without approving your jealousy. You can accept this relationship isn't working without liking it. You can, if someone, like a big one is if someone does something wrong to you, you can accept, okay, I accept that they hurt me. And everyone's like, no, don't accept. That's letting them go. No, they're thinking of forgiveness. Acceptance is acknowledging the facts so that you can in turn respond in the present intelligently. That's a good one-liner. Acceptance is acknowledging the facts so you can respond intelligently. And refusing acceptance doesn't change anything. It doesn't change reality. It just adds more suffering and confusion to yourself. And that is a really big one. Then another one on acceptance is number 3, acceptance means giving up or resignation, passivity. Resignation is nothing can change. Acceptance is, this is what's true right now. It's not saying nothing can change, it's just saying this is what's true right now. And a good one-liner for that is, acceptance isn't giving up, it's giving up with the argument with reality. It's giving up the argument with reality. It's giving up fighting if it's true or not. It's just accepting that it's true and then moving on to a place of action. And on that, from that place, action becomes more effective because it's based on what is real, not what you wish was real. Okay, now misconception 4, which is massive one as well, and this is less in the self-improvement kind of community online. It's more focused around the people who don't like the self-improvement community and think it's think self-improvement is, I don't know. I don't want to be like unkind to people, but it's kind of like, this is kind of the I've talked to a lot of friends in that who don't like focus on self-improvement in the way that I do, or yeah, and this is kind of a lot of their mindsets. Awareness means overthinking and being in your head. Awareness is noticing, and overthinking is storytelling. Awareness is, I'm feeling tight in my chest. Overthinking is, this means my life is screwed and everyone judges me. Okay, so this is a very big one to debunk in a couple of sentences, but if you haven't seen my video on the thinking and the voice in your head and thinking versus thoughts, that's a really good one to go over this, because a lot of these people who, they're like, okay, let's self-improve, let's learn more, let's embrace the awareness. They haven't had to confront that voice in their head, or maybe they've been ignoring it. And when you do this, you have to confront that voice in your head. And not only confront it, you have to see it for what it is and just let it go. Because I'll give a quick summary of it. It's thinking versus thoughts. Thoughts come to you. Thinking is thinking about those thoughts. Thoughts are constructive. I want to go to the gym. Then you start thinking about that thought, and it's, oh, people will look at me. Oh, I don't have the right shorts. And then thinking is the issue here. And awareness is clean data. Overthinking is a dirty interpretation, and with things added to it, with your fears added to it. And this was a good survival mechanism. And maybe when you're a kid, you go up onto a bridge that everyone's being like, jump, jump, jump. And that voice in your head talks you out of it. It says, don't do it. That's not a good idea. You know, you maybe want attention from your friends. So the constructive thought comes to you, I should go jump off that bridge into the river. And then you get up there, and that little doubting voice comes to you and says, don't jump. You know, it's not worth it. Or, you know, you could hurt yourself. And that is constructive in that way. But we as humans have learned, we're more conscious of it. And we know, and we educate our younger generations that, you know, if they jump off a high place, they're going to hurt themselves. So we have less need for that voice. I'm not saying there isn't a need, but less of a need. And that's the difference between awareness and overthinking. Okay, so the fifth misconception is, if I'm present, I shouldn't plan for the future. This is one that's pretty easy to debunk yourself, but I'll put my take in on it. Planning is a present moment action. Planning for the future isn't thinking about the future, it's putting in because thinking about the future does nothing, but action for the future is everything. Presence isn't never think about the future. It's presence is choosing when you think about the future instead of being dragged there. And you can obviously take in the future and what you think is going to happen, but a lot of time it's very seldom that you need to actually like try to visualize the future and predict and stuff like that. And the power to choose when you want to plan for the future and stuff like that. I only make plans for the future. Like, I obviously plan to go to work and stuff and my work schedule, but I only make like big plans for the future and think about it, like actually go into my own head about it, like once every couple weeks. And yeah, a clean phrase is presence makes planning precise instead of panicked. Then misconception 6 is if I accept reality, I'll lose ambition. Kind of the debunk of this is acceptance removes emotional friction. Ambition just becomes less desperate, and which it just helps you in so many number of ways. Without acceptance, ambition often becomes proving to other people or escaping your own life or perfectionism. With acceptance, ambition becomes building, learning, and refining, which is just it's kind of what I focus on when I'm trying to do self-improvement. And this is a big one. Acceptance doesn't kill growth. It removes the self-violence from growth, the self-hate. And if you look into some of my previous videos, that's a big part of how I've grown, is getting rid of that self-hate and changing how I see self-improvement. And just, I was thinking about adding this prior or not, because like it's about the full version of what having all three looks like, and these little phrases we have already assigned a certain meaning to them, and I don't want to get too into that, but these are just like a couple things that you could recognize that maybe you're trying to achieve, which is mindful living, grounded clarity, peace and precision, and informed enjoyment. And some of those, like informed enjoyment, what the heck? That sounds kind of weird. But like, yeah, I don't know. And kind of one sentence that puts this all together, and you can see by the stuff in my notes was things that came out of my head. And obviously some of these misconceptions I typed up myself, but a lot of these one-liners in these kind of came from online and different resources that I've found. Awareness shows me reality. Acceptance removes my resistance to reality. And presence lets me experience it, so I can enjoy my life without lying to myself and act without running from myself. And that kind of just sums up this video. Yeah, it's a longer video, probably one of my longest, and it covers a lot, but this video has a really special place kind of in my heart, because this is one of those videos that I just wish I could have seen when I was like 14 or 15, because a lot of these understandings, they came the hard way, and now over lots and lots of time of like processing different things and different hardships. And I really wish I could have seen this video when I was 14 or 15, but that's also kind of the basis of this channel. Like if you look in my older videos, these values really like play an insanely massive part to solve some of the problems I talked about in those other videos. And to understand them now, that's what this channel is about, having the problems in the present and even making videos on them and then working through to solve them, so partly you guys can see what actually works and what is legit. But yeah, that's kind of all for this video. And yeah, that's the end of the video.